That is fantastic. I would eat this every day. That's incredible.
Hey, I'm James from Smoking Head Barbecue, and this is Backyard Barbecue Rescue, the show where I travel on site to meet families struggling to overcome common issues when it comes to recreating their favorite barbecue dishes at home. So today, we're off to meet David, who's struggling with smoked chicken. Let's go meet him.
James, I could really use your help. The hardest thing in barbecue is chicken skin. Since I've begun barbecuing, which has been several years now, the one thing I have not been able to master is to have both bite-through chicken skin and smoky flavor. I can use your double indirect method and get skin that you can bite through, or I can do low and slow and have a nice smoky chicken. But what I want to do is figure out how to do both. And I've tried nearly everything. I've tried blanching, I've tried baking powder, I have tried cornstarch, I've tried a jacquard, I have tried scraping the fat on the other side of the skin, and still I can't seem to figure out how to have both bite-through skin and a smoky flavor. All I want is some good smoked chicken tacos that have both the skin in it and that smoky flavor. So I would love to invite you to Alpharetta, Georgia, and would love to have the opportunity to figure out how to do bite-through chicken with that smoky flavor. I have a Kamado style grill, a big green egg, extra large, and would love to see you here in Alpharetta. Thanks.
Why don't you let me make the burgers in the oven?
Dry.
That is so rubbery and bouncy.
Chicken skin.
Making sure it's tender.
Burn!
You are judged by your brisket.
James, I can't cook ribs for crap.
James, please help rescue David's barbecue.
Well, hello, I'm David. James, thanks so much for being here today. Since I've started smoking barbecue, the one thing I've always struggled with is chicken skin. And I've tried different methods trying to make the skin edible, and it just didn't work. And it wasn't until your double indirect method that I actually found a way to actually get good bite-through skin.
Right.
But the trade-off has been is that I haven't been able to get the smoky meat and the bite-through skin. And so I've asked help today from James. Help me figure out how to get both smoky meat and bite-through skin.
Well, I certainly hope we can help. So we had a chance, I arrived yesterday, started to prep for today's cook, and we got a chance to sample David's chicken, and much as advertised, I'm afraid to say the smoke was great. So great smoke flavor, but the trade-off that often happens when we're going for smoke is we got the rubbery skin. So it just sort of like slides right off the meat, and it was very tough chew. So I appreciate that that's something that you want to work on. So hopefully we'll be able to help you out today. We're going to be cooking on a brand new Kamado Joe Big Joe Series 3.
This has been great and awesome. And so I've smoked on a big green egg for a long time. And so I'm familiar with the Kamado style grill, but this has been such a step up. Everything from the gasket to the air hinge to the innovation, the double, the rack and the divide and conquer rack. It's been amazing. So
awesome.
Love
well,
it.
Thanks so much for Kamado Joe for sending this along, and a great perk for being on the show.
A big perk.
Big
wow.
perk. Wow. Right? they really pulled out all the strings on this one. So glad. You've done a couple cooks now. You like it?
I love it. We've done, at this point, we've done salmon and of course the chicken, right. And then I also did a double smoked ham. So awesome.
Great. Well, we're going to break our game plan into two parts. So the second part will be exactly what we're going to do. You got a great nickname.
Yes, yes, Big Jolene. So,
Big Jolene, I love it. If that wasn't copyrighted, we got to be playing that
that's
right now.
Well, grills have to be named like
exactly.
that.
So. That's a great grill name. So we've got Jolene that we'll get ready to fire up. So that'll be part two of our game plan. So for part one, so to bring you up to speed on everything we've already done. So before I arrived yesterday, I asked David for some help on this, but that's going with the buttermilk wet brine. So that's 2 liters of buttermilk and a ½ cup of salt, and put the bird in for 4 or 5 hours. When I arrived, that was time to rinse it off and get ready to make our dry rub. Busted out the pepper cannon and made up my homemade dry rub. So that's just 2 tablespoons of black pepper, salt, paprika, cayenne pepper, garlic powder. I'll put the website up. That's where I have my wing dust recipe. That's the one that we're going with here. Pepper cannon made quick work. I know you've been a mine run for a while. Did it meet your expectations for pepper? Absolutely.
No, it was great. You know, I've used grinders before, but it takes so long to get even a -1/4 cup or a ½ cup, and it's pretty exciting. It took all of what 5-10 seconds.
Exactly. So. I make my own rubs all the time, so I know it's an investment up front, but for me, I think I've actually paid for it tenfold.
Well worth it.
In terms of making my own rubs. So now that we got our rub ready, we're ready to spatchcock the chicken. Before we did that, I did the quick little knife test on a piece of paper. And the knife could use a little bit of sharpening, which is par for the course. Everybody that I've met hate the idea of a whetstone, so thanks Tumblr for sending along your knife sharpening kit, right? So we got our chicken spatchcock, then we applied the dry rub, which is also acting as now our dry brine in the refrigerator overnight. Yeah. So that, coming back to those two-stage brines, the wet brine and the dry brine, that's critical for addressing the issue that David's raised here in terms of getting crispy skin. The chicken, according to the FDA, is safe, you know, at 160, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, but just like brisket, safe at 160, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If we were to slice open our brisket, it'd be tough as nails at that sort of temperature. And so just because we're safe doesn't mean we're right. And sometimes with chicken, we need to go a little bit beyond to get the chicken skin to where we want it, especially if we're going to be smoking, which tends to cause some of that rubbery side effect that we're trying to avoid. So by going with the buttermilk brine and the salt brine, that's going to allow us to overshoot that 160 a little bit. We can't go nuclear, but not lose the juiciness of the chicken and give us that extra little bit of time that we need in order to get the chicken skin just right. Well, that's the plan. At least we'll hold me accountable, see if we we get there. I think we'll be able to make an improvement, but let's move into part 2 in terms of how we're going to set up. Jolene.
Perfect.
Okay, so ready for our game plan for the smoke. So I'm going to follow a setup that I would normally go with something like pulled pork and brisket, which is adding a piece of smoking wood on top of our active fire right when we install the deflector plates, and then the slow roller in this case for a double indirect setup. So we could take advantage of the grill working hard to bring those ceramics and slow roller up to temperature, which means we're going to get a nice clean burn. So speaking of clean smoke, we placed about, what we do, 4 or 5 pieces of hickory down below on the charcoal basket. Cover that up with some fresh Fogo. Fogo was kind enough to load me up with a truck full of charcoal for the journey. So once we covered that up, we started our fire, waited till we started to pass the hand test. And this is a really critical step for rendering skin. We choked the top of our control tower top almost down to where you would have it at 200, 225 degrees. And that's just so that we can see the ambient temperature of the dome go from something we can hold our hand for 5-6 seconds to something now it's like 1-2 seconds. It's got lots of energy, and that's going to be critical for helping render the fat underneath the chicken skin and give us a chance at smoke and crispy skin. So for the rest of the setup, once we were up to temperature and fully heat soaked in the dome, we dropped the heat deflectors on the bottom position. This is the Big Joe Series 3. I have a double indirect guide on the website for Joe Jr., Classic, Big Joe Series 1, 2, 3. If you ever want to follow along, instead of looking that up in every video where I share that free of charge, there's a resource that can help you do that. But since David has the brand new Big Joe Series 3, this is what I'm cooking at home. This is second nature. We can go for that by placing the deflectors on the basket, the slow roller on top. The slow roller is again going to help change the air pattern and get some of that smoke coming back down over top of the chicken. And we place that on the extended rack. Kamado Joe was also kind enough to send that along. And that's just going to help get our chicken sitting up high near all the radiant energy of the dome, as well as the smoke coming over the slow roller, which we are going to be cooking at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, the new updated maximum temperature for the slow roller. And I think that's going to give us exactly what we want: smoke and crispy chicken skin. We'll find out. We might have to wait for an hour, but you guys, it'll go by just like that. Well, we got rained out, so we moved inside. But it is time for the moment of truth to dig in and see how we did. So why don't you grab a piece?
All right.
I'll do the same. Cheers.
Cheers. Awesome.
Good piece.
Awesome. Smoky. Skin is bite through. Thank you. That's awesome.
So what we were relying on here is the buttermilk and the salt to allow us to go to a higher temperature till we can get that skin where it's fully rendered. And so that happened. We were reading in the meter and the chef temp, as well as probing around different spots, 170. So that's a good 10 degrees beyond what's safe, but waiting until we get the skin.
That's awesome. That tastes amazing.
Well, let's let some other people try.
All right, let's do it. Away.
Yeah. Can't wait. I can't wait. I want to get a good piece with the skin. That is fantastic. I mean, it's got a great smoke flavor. The skin is tender. I love it. This is truly amazing. Oh my God. So, I don't usually care for chicken at all. I would eat this every day. That's incredible.
That's so good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow,
Very good.
it's really good.
So welcome to the drive home. I've just left David's house, hit the road, and I am making my way to Michigan. That's not before we stop at Memphis in May, so I'm really looking forward to that experience. But a quick recap of the skills that we covered with David. If you're trying to do this very difficult task of getting both smoke as well as clean bite-through chicken skin, that's a tough combination for anyone to master, and it's no surprise that this rang up on the issues list that David wanted to work on. So the two key things that we did here, first with the prep, is prepping our bird to get away with a higher smoke temperature. So that combination brine is the critical success factor to allow us to take chicken to another 10-15 degrees beyond the safe, done cooking temperatures and not run the risk of drying out. That gives us the time that we need to crisp up the skin. The second, it really comes down to how we set up our Joe here in order to get the maximum smoke performance as well as rendering skin. So the critical things to do here, first, we want to get our dome completely heat soaked so we unlock the radiant energy. If we were just to install all of the heat deflectors right away, we would never get enough energy in the ceramic to be able to render out the chicken skin. And even at a lower temperature, like we are smoking at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, the double indirect I've compared at even lower temperatures, and I see a much more active fire, about twice as active at the same temperature. So that's why I went for double indirect at the 300 degree Fahrenheit range, which is the new maximum of the updated slow roller specs for 2024. So I wanted to stick by that and not lead you astray and go to a higher temperature. And then the other thing that we did for David is he always places his smoking wood chunks on top of the fire, unlike what we did today by placing them underneath, as well as adding one bonus piece before we installed the deflectors themselves. And this is a setup that I use for ribs, brisket, or pork to try and get that extra bit of smoke while the fire is going to be burning clean while we have our vents open and waiting for the shock of the cooler ceramics and the slow roller and the meat that we've added in, which have bumped down the temperature. We can get away for that next 20-30 minutes with the vents all the way open and burn some really nice clean smoke. So that's a critical way of getting a little bit of extra smoke on something at that beginning stage. We can't access it later on and we'll have our vents not nearly as open, but that first 20 minutes is a great way to get a little bit of extra smoke. And since that's what David was after, that's why I added that piece on top of the coal fire. The other key reason why we place the wood chunks down below the fire is if we place our wood chunks on top, two things are going to happen, or one of two things. First, our temperatures, if we have enough air, are going to spike when that wood combusts. They're going to take our temperatures up hotter than what we want, or more likely, they will smolder. And if there's something that really stood out to me a few years ago when I first got an offset, is my expectation coming from Kamado Cooking is it's going to be progressively more smoke. And this is not true. If anything, there's less smoke, but it's amazing, good, clean smoke. And so if you become accustomed to creosote and dirty smoke, this is why we want to get our wood chunks underneath, let them burn clean, and get the best possible quality of smoke. And the best way that I found here is adapting a method. I originally saw Harry Sue, who's won something like 40 plus championships, including places I'm off to at Memphis in May, and he is spot on the money here, and it's been a staple ever since I've been doing videos on the channel back now about 5 years. That's been my go-to method just because it works. The charcoal acts like a charcoal filter, helps purify that smoke, get it into the right operating temperature for what we want for nice, clean smoke. That's it for this episode of Backyard Barbecue. I'll see you in Michigan.
Don't be afraid to fire it up.
Our good and wet is fantastic.
Nailed it.
100 times better.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is night and day.
I'm gonna have that.
Awesome, smoky.
Restaurant quality, dude.
We have to tell people you're a chef too.
45 years in the industry.